this chapter we dive into what okay to proceed really means. It's all about taking a pause before any medical decision, a chance to check two key things: readiness and complexity. Readiness makes sure the team, equipment, and the patient are all set. Complexity helps us think about each patient's unique medical and social challenges. By looking at both, we make safer, more thoughtful decisions. We also touch on how this idea started in aviation, where safety pauses have saved countless lives, and why it's so important in healthcare today. So, let's get ready to make every decision safer and more patient-focused, one step at a time.
I'll tell you about the book and how it all fits into curiosity, followed by kindness, followed by trust. Is that the book is written about a 6-year-old kid who was at my hospital, who one night when I was at the hospital gala raising money for our hospital, got a phone call at 2:12 a.m. in the morning. And the phone call was one of my anesthesia providers, like something really awful just happened. Not the phone call you like to get his chair. And I said, what happened? They said, there's a 7-year-old child in room X, and that child had an appendectomy 4 days ago, was perforated with septic, has an ileus, and got put on parenteral nutrition, and they died. That they arrested, and I went to the code as one of my intensivists, and we did everything we could, and we could not resuscitate the child. That's an unusual story. So, my curiosity kicked in, like sequester the bags in the room. What drugs do they get? Let's look at the cameras. Don't take any of the pumps out of the room. So I went into my kind of medical mode of curiosity of what happened. Like we need to know everything, what antibiotic, call the pharmacy, check the record, look in the Pyxis, look in the trash, look in the needle bin, all the things that anesthesiologists do to figure out what went wrong. So that was phase one. The next part was we have to tell the family because we figured out what happened. We realized that we often did not give parenteral nutrition to 7-year-olds. We gave them to adults and neonates. So the pharmacist went in and prepared it, and during that time period, they gave 10 times the dose of potassium. That's not resuscitatable, unless you're in a heart room and you know what it is. We didn't know what it was. No one would have ever thought that in that scenario. Now, I have to, because I look here and say, I'm a pharmacist. The pharmacist involved in that case was so devastated, she couldn't even come to work because she realized that she did override. And the child died, and she felt personally responsible. So I went to her out of my act of kindness, because this is the worst nightmare for anybody, and talked to her, and they wanted her to explain to the family what happened. And I was like, no. She is the second victim. This is not a good thing. This is not good timing for her. She has 3 little kids. I will talk to the family. And I did, and it was the worst day I ever had, because the mom was there. She had 3 little kids, all younger than this kid, plus the rabbi in the room. And she said, you're the one that did it? And I'm like, no, I'm not, but I'm part of the hospital, and I'm here to tell you because we own this, and we are so sorry of what happened, and here's what happened. And she was so angry, and it got so personal, and it was so directed, and I just sat there and said, I'm sorry, and we all cried together. It was the worst moment. And I left the room, and they said, you were courageous to do it. But my comment was, I was the right thing to do, and it's what we need to do as hospitals, say, I am so sorry. So how do we get to that? So that's the kindness part, even when it's not easy. And that was not an easy kindness for me to do. But then the next part was, what are we going to do to heal? Close the pharmacist and myself. We're going to write a book, and everything we do here, we're going to get better, and we're not going to let Rafael Mira's death temper our enthusiasm in doing what's best, and we're going to have an unwavering commitment to patient safety. So we wrote 52 chapters, and almost every chapter has a medical student in it. So we engaged our medical students, and the whole book is all written about, is it okay to proceed? And what that means, are you prepared enough for the complexity of this case to cross this line? I'm going to get back, Bill. So when you cross that line, that means that I'm not prepared, because I'm supposed to stand in this space, and I listen with genuine listening in this scenario. So as you look at this here, what happened was, we then, 10 years later, when we prepared the book and finished it, we dedicated it to the mother. Think about that. Every year we had a lecture with the mom and the kids, and every year they got bigger. And every year I had to stand and introduce this talk on patient safety, how we were going to change things. And we did. And that year, we dedicated the book to the mother. So we went in a full kind of, 360 of what happened and came back and did this. And she came up and she hugged me and she said to us, I commend you on your courage and your commitment to never let this happen again. And she goes, but this is not the worst thing that ever happened. And I want to tell you alone because I've told no one else. And she came up and we went in a room and she told me, when I was pregnant with Raphael, I had a brain tumor. And I was told that either it was me or the child, and it couldn't be both. And if I pushed the brain tumor too far with the child's maturation to be someone that would live a normal, sustainable life, that I would probably die doing it. And I was willing to do that. And I got far enough along, we had the baby, and then I had my brain operation, and I'm cured with the brain operation, and I had the child. The part of the story that she didn't plan for was Raphael dying. And she said, it was the hardest thing that ever happened in my whole life. But now I look and say, we together have really pushed this book all over the place to be safe.